Done by Noon podcast, episode number 16. Today we're going to talk about how to build a self-driving business.
You're listening to the Done by Noon podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who want to achieve more by noon than others in a full day. Serial entrepreneur Dave Ruel and his co-host Chris Lopez share the strategies that will help you optimize your productivity, performance, and lifestyle so you can reach new heights in your business and life. So if you're ready to become the most efficient and effective entrepreneur you know, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show.
This episode is brought to you by the Done by Noon book, the ultimate guide to achieve more by noon than other entrepreneurs in a full day. As a listener of the Done by Noon podcast, you can grab a free copy of the book at www.donebynoonpodcast.com/free book. But hurry, we've only printed a few thousand copies of this book, and when they are gone, they're gone. Once again, you can claim your free copy of the Done by Noon book at www.donebynoonpodcast.com/free book. Now, back to Dave and Chris.
The Done by Noon podcast, sponsored by the Done by Noon book. Should we come up with like new merch? Like we have more Done by Noon stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Like Done by Noon sea salt.
Oh, yes. I think. Well, no, that's Power Move Nutrition.
Oh, that's Power Move Nutrition.
That's going to be So Chris and I have a dream that we're going to have a supplements company one day called Power Move Nutrition, and it's everything's going to be sea salt based.
Yeah, sea salt, peanut butter, chocolate. That's it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Everything's going to be sea salt based and has peanut butter and chocolate flavor.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. To go. We're looking for investors, guys. Like, it doesn't matter if the product is shit. It's just going to be great branding. Great flavors. Oh my gosh. I think
you can't say that on a business podcast, man.
I'm just kidding. Jeez, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding because I got a hard time understanding how we're going to be able to put sea salt peanut butter into, I don't know. Maybe it could, like some kind of power shake. Yeah. I don't know. I've done my time in the supplements industry.
I know you have.
And I got to be honest, guys. Like, if you want to make, like, it's when I was in the supplements industry, I was amazed on how much shit products there's on the market. Mm-hmm. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like, I was joking when I said, like, it doesn't matter if the product shit, the branding is going to be great. But honestly, like 80% of the products in the supplement space, this is what it is.
Yeah. I think the regulations in Canada are a little bit more stringent. So I think you'll get a little bit better quality.
Yes.
I was very disappointed when you left the supplement industry because you had the only plant-based protein that I actually liked that was high quality and that tastes good as well. And so when you left, I was just like, can I buy all of your overstock?
No, but hold on. So yeah, here's the thing. Before I sold Bioptim, but hold on, Matt and Wade are still there. And Matt and Wade are like freaks when it comes to actually product quality. So with Bioptimizers, Protein Breakthrough, which was the plant-based protein, hemp-based protein that we had, that's the thing. We were actually losing money on the products.
Yeah.
Because it was just so hard. So the shelf life was actually very shorter. We had all the improvements we had actually to make the product taste great because hemp has this particular flavor while keeping, the integrity of the products. All the costs were super high. So we're like, there needs to be a better way. So we paused the product for quite some time. And now I talked to Matt not too long ago, and they're actually bringing back Protein Breakthrough with a new formulation, still mostly hemp-based. I think it's going to be a blend. So it will be plant-based, like 100%. But yeah, they looks like what he told me is like they enhance the flavor like 10x. So I just can't wait to see that. It's going to be, in my opinion, going to be the best protein on the market. But I just can't wait to see like what I don't have ideas on the formulation. But yeah, that was the thing with Bioptimizers. for us to come up with, like, we never wanted to compromise on quality. So, we knew that if we wanted to make some, and here's the thing, in the supplements industry, the margins are not that high. It's not, it's not crazy. And so you need to, like, for us to not compromise on quality, like the price of the product needs to be high. So there's a lot of customers at first. Now, like the education, Matt and Wade have done an incredible job, like over the past like 2-3 years, with the education on the products and what they do. And they have people, smart customers who understand the product. Mm-hmm. So they understand why, the product is more expensive. But, you look at people who don't know, they're going to be like, a product that is I would say over marketed, it's going to confuse a lot of people. It's like, why am I going to pay too much, like X amount of dollars more for this? And we had, for example, probiotics, which was a single strain probiotics. Like, when I can have this product, which has like 6 strains of probiotics and like cost out. Yeah, but it's like, look into the dosage, look into like this and that. And we're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, I think this is why education has to be it's a critical part of your marketing.
It is now more and more.
Yeah.
I think if you don't educate through your marketing now, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I think you need that. And especially the truth is with supplements, like I would say 80% of shit, because 80% are just white label.
Right. Exactly.
Like it's just a generic company with the cheapest possible ingredients. And they just put a label. You say, hey, put this label on, and there you go. It's that's the thing. Bioptimizers, like, it was always working. So first of all, I can speak for the company now, because I'm not an owner anymore in the company, but for us, we were working with a specific lab for the probiotics and the enzymes, and we had like exclusivity on the strain and different things. So there was no white labeling. You know what I mean? We were working with a lab. I'm pretty sure they still work with the same labs, but for the formulation and then the bottling. But it was not white label. It was custom, formulations that were made for us, and traceability of the products, traceability of the strain. For another example of the quality of Bioptimizers, they ran into problems with their probiotics.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Last year, they ran into problems. Like, actually, the batch wasn't good. It never happened to that lab that a batch was not like up to the standards. Uh-huh. And that was the first time. And and to create these probiotics, it takes time. It's a life thing, right? So it just takes time to build enough quantity to produce. And yeah, they had to redo the whole thing all over again because they were not up to standard. So I know they were out of stock for a while because of that, but they're like, no, we're not going to be putting a product that is substandard. How did we end up talking about that?
I told you that.
Oh yeah, Power Move Nutrition.
Yeah, and your hemp supplement, your hemp protein supplement was the best one I've ever had in my life. Like, it was, I was really disappointed.
But it's coming back, bro. We're gonna have Matt on the podcast a couple of times. Matt is this wealth of information on everything.
Yeah, he really is a polymath. It really amazes me how much he knows about everything.
Yeah. If you think you're smart, you haven't met Matt Gallant. Yeah, no, he's one of the smartest guy, if not the smartest guy that I know. He's it's every time you talk to him, it's just humbling. His amount of knowledge, and he goes deep into so many things. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have him. He's an expert on sleep. He's an expert on advertising. He's an expert on protein formula. He's an expert on a lot of things. Bitcoins. He's an expert in Bitcoin.
Yeah, crypto.
Yeah. Let's talk about the self-driving business, brother.
Yes.
By the way, are you feeling more and more Canadian now? Like,
yeah, again? It's getting colder every day, and my nice glow is starting to fade. My skin's getting a little drier. My lips are starting to get a little bit more I'm not complaining because I still have super fast internet.
I know. Is the frequency of the word A? Did you say A more often now?
Oh, are you kidding? I said A so much in Costa Rica. I don't know if it's. I say A a lot, and I say, "Hey,
Yeah.
bud, what's up,
Hey,
bud?
bud.
Hey,
Hey,
bud.
bud. I
Yeah,
know.
bud.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah."
Bud, I know. It's so Canadian. Or like every time I'm in the US, my US friends like, I don't even realize I say it. Like, hey,
Hey.
Dave, eh? I was like, I don't want to say it. Oh man, but yeah, self-driving business. So we last week we talked about it a little bit, and we're like, hey, we'll do an episode about it, and I just want to talk about the process of how I see business, like why obviously Done by Noon. You're listening to this because freedom appeals to you. Um, Running a better business appeals to you. But for me, it was always kind of clear that I wanted that lifestyle. I really wanted a life where I was not rushed, where I could make my own decisions, work on what I wanted when I wanted. What I realized is that, yes, I needed my structure, personal structure, which, we cover in Done by Noon, but the business structure is equally as important, right? Your business leadership is what's going to be, bring you to the next level. And I did really well, developing yourself. My first business was a great self-driving business, still is. It's a self-driving business that still operates, 12 years later. Self-drives 12 years later. But I went on the other spectrum too. We talked about Bioptimizers, but like the Bioptimizers became like a bigger animal. Like it was not a self-driving, like like to build a business like that. It was definitely hard to put it on self-driving mode for a long time. And I realized that, and that's why I sold, my shares of the company, is that I didn't want a company that required me to be there like all the time. For me, I wanted to build it, grow it, and systematize it. But then obviously you can grow as much, with a self-driving business that it would do if you would decide to scale, for example, scale a business, right? So that was that. I think it just, this example, like working with Bioptimizer, really opened my eyes on the type of business that I really wanted to have. It became non-negotiable at that point that, okay, yes, you tried it, but no, I really want a business that doesn't require me to be there all the time. And I think that's a motivation. I mean, it was your motivation when you first started, right, Chris?
Yeah, it was. I wanted a business that, I mean, it's the dream to have a business that makes money when you sleep. And so that was the dream for me. And we talked about it a little bit in the last episode, where it's like, that's the dream, but that isn't necessarily the reality of the way things work. Like there's always constant maintenance, and you always have to, check in on things and stuff like that. Like I still wake up in the morning and I've made a little bit of money, which is great, but there was a lot of work and foundation that had to be laid before you could get to that point.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's the thing people need to realize, that the self-driving business, you're not going to start with a self-driving business. You're going to start with you building that business, right? So for me, like the way I see it, so a self-driving business, basically there's, when you look at a business, like it always starts with you and the business, right? You driving the business.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to put it on self-driving mode, is that you need two more components. You need people and you need systems. So basically it's you lead people, people run systems, and systems drive your business. But, obviously that doesn't happen overnight. So how do you get started with it? So for me, like the way I approach business is always in 2-year cycles. So when I start a new business or a new brand within my business, so for example, what happened with Effic, I looked at the business, I looked into what I wanted to accomplish, and I said, okay, how do I get started? So the first year was about building it.
Right.
Okay, so building the brand, building the infrastructure, building the first products, building IP, things like that. That's my favorite phase, I got to say.
Is the building phase.
Oh man, I just love it. Like, and that's actually like a problem, because I love building so much. that I gotta be careful because I could build all the time. Like I would just build, and then that would come in. If I start building too many things, and that happened to me in the past too. If I started building like 2 things or 3 things at the same time, like it was just delaying everything, right? So for me, like focusing on the first thing, on building something good while still making money with it. So the thing is that during this building phase, I also need to build validation, like the fact that my business is actually like what I'm building now is not is solid enough that it generates money and can be grown in year 2. Okay. So the thing that I do also is when I build the business, I don't build it necessarily based on me. I leverage myself with what I know and what I can do, but I see myself more as like the flag bearer of the company. So the company there's always a brand to the company, and I usually tack myself to that brand. So meaning like, remember like the Muscle Cook, which was my first brand, I leveraged my skills at the time to really to be the flag bearer of that brand.
Right.
You kind of become the brand in some ways, but someone can take it. Someone can run that brand, or you can tag in more people into that brand. Versus the business was just Dave Rule. Well, guess what? There's only one of me, and that defeats the purpose, right? So it's a lot harder to, get people in at that point when you're such a, only just a personal brand. Right. You know what I mean?
So for somebody that's just starting out, is your advice for them to create a brand separate from themselves? Or does that depend on the goal?
Well, it depends. Like for me, I think like when I want to build a self-driving business, I realize that the brand I need to be detachable from the brand.
Right.
I need to leverage myself, like leverage my skills or leverage my my person to carry the flag. Like but I'm not, I would say, like I'm detachable from the brand. Like let's say, someone can come in, like just like you're doing, for example, with the Done by Noon brand or with Ethic. Like it's not the me show. You know what I mean? It's a brand, and a lot of people can come into that brand or even run that brand. So what happens is that you also build a sellable asset when you do that. Like when you have just a personal brand, like you can't sell yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when you have something that you tack yourself onto, but you tack yourself onto like a brand, you can have something that can be sold. So that's always the first thing that I look into building is, yes, you build the brand, but you build the first, I would say, the first monetization avenue. So there's always, like for me, a way. What's the fastest way that I can get, an MVP, a minimum viable product, that's going to generate 6 figures in income? So that's always the way I look into the success of the potential self-driving company, because if I can build it to 6-figure income in the first year, I know I'm going to be able to invest in people and better systems as well in order to run it. Yeah. Right. So I have something proven. From there, there's the growth phase. So I would say then we focus a lot more on sales and marketing and developing the systems. So sales and marketing, developing systems, that's the second year. And from there, I try to move to only a leadership role. So meaning that I'm not going to be involved into the doing of anything in that business. I just move into a you lead people role where all I do is leading, meaning that the team have been assembled, the systems to drive the business have been set up. Now what I need to do is to work with my people in order to bring that business to the next level. So I'm not doing the lifting. I do the leverage. I leverage, and I use the right people and the right systems based on that. So that's the way I see business. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer. It's the intent of having that done within 24 months. Sometimes it takes a lot. Sometimes you need to pivot. You need to change things. Ethic took me a little bit longer because, as I said last week, like we started with a different model, and we had to pivot, and that's fine. I mean, it's part of it. But that's really like the way I see like a self-drive. I think the self-driving business is probably the biggest opportunity for anyone who wants more freedom. I think like if you have a business that you've been building and growing for a long time, now like starting to put in better systems and adding the right people is what you need in order to get this. Like you can, like, you know, you can follow the Done by Noon, system, the EFIC methodology, but that's for you. But for your business, I think at this point, if you're in a position where you've been growing it for a while and you want more freedom, I would look into, you know, building a self-driving business.
Cool. Very nice.
Yeah. I think it's just appealing, you know, like people like think that, oh yeah, this is the same thing we talked last week, like pressing a button and that it's done. Yeah. But you know, it's still like I would say, like, look at a Tesla. Oh, there's some videos of Tesla people actually using the self-driving mode on the Tesla for the first time. And it's weird because they're just afraid of like taking their hands off the wheel, right? They're just like, oh my God. And they're, it's hilarious. You should see that. It's hilarious. But I think that's a main problem too, why people fail at building self-driving businesses, is that they have a hard time taking their hands off the wheel.
Yeah. So I think you really hit a good point where it's like you have to have the vision of understanding or knowing that that's exactly what it is that you want to do. Because a lot of people, when they see the celebrity, I know a lot of people that come to me for business advice and they want the celebrity. They want to be the face. They want to be the name. They want to be the superstar and everything. And so you really have to ask yourself what your goal is. Like for some people, I honestly think that a lot of it is ego driven, and that they like the celebrity. They like the idea of being that personal brand and being the business, but they don't understand the actual goal of business sometimes, which is to make money. Like all they want is they want that celebrity. And so sometimes if you're able to create a brand and be the leadership behind that brand, and the flag bearer is what you said, you can more or less create a more successful business sometimes, because you can detach yourself and you can see the forest for the trees and really have a big picture outlook. I think it's a lot different when you're a personal brand, when it's just you.
Yeah, and I think like you see that mistake made by a lot, like for example, freelancers who have online businesses who work online. Yeah. But the problem is that instead of being freelancers, approach your business as an agency. Yeah, it's like, okay, I provide this service. Here are the steps for like the product that like the service that I'm providing. And from there, you can look into, you have a process that can be ran by people. Okay. Yeah. So there's a good book, actually, we talked about it before, but Build to Sell, that illustrates just that. Like you can be a freelancer and be a generalist and do a little bit of everything. However, when you look into what you do better than most people and are able to systematize that, it's just like, it comes back to standardization. It comes back to building routines in the Done by Noon book. It's the same thing, building processes. You need to build a process for the service you are offering. So we call that productization of services. That, hey, instead of thinking I do this, and this, is that here's what I offer, here's the problem, here's the problem we solve, and here's how we solve it. We solve it in 5 easy steps: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And from there, you look at every single step, and it's like, okay, who can do that? Like, is there someone in the team that can do it? Or is that one person who can delegate? You can delegate that maybe to one person or some of it, right? So you're not just trading time for money. You're trading actually a productized service for an amount of money. And then you play with your cost at that point. So you understand how much money you're making, and then you can play with it. So you can sell more of it if you want without you having to be there necessarily to do it.
Right.
See, so that's the same thing. It goes to the point that sometimes people are just too attached to become the face of, like, not become the face, but be their business, you know, and they have to do the driving themselves all the time. Well, guess what? Like, that's fine. Like, it's okay. That's what we call the owner operator mindset, is that if you love to be your own boss and do all the doing yourself, that's okay. But I acknowledge the fact that you're not going to have a self-driving business. You're going to be a driver for life. That's just not doable. If you want a self-driving business, that means you're going to have to replace yourself at one point. So always take that into account. It's like, hey, I need to be replaceable. I need to replace myself at some point, and I need to build everything in order to be replaced. So it starts with the building, so of the brand and everything, and the sales, like the sales funnels, everything you need to do, but also the processes. And then you can start hiring the people that will run these processes for you, right? So any type of business that you have, you're going to see it's always the same type of protocol if you want to build a self-driving business, right? It just doesn't happen overnight. I think it's just appealing that, oh yeah, it drives itself. Yeah, but you need to build the vehicle yourself.
Yeah, you got to build it. Exactly. Yeah.
You cannot buy it. You can't buy it. I think that's the difference between a self-driving car and a self-driving business is you can drive a self-driving car. You cannot buy a self-driving business. You can actually buy it. Like, it's a sellable asset. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people who own these self-driving businesses don't necessarily actually sell them because they're nice cash flow businesses.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's what the purpose. Like, you don't really build a self-driving business to build valuation. You build it for you. Start a business that serves you. Right. So I think that's the difference.
Multiple streams of income. It's always a good thing to have, right?
Well, that's the thing you can do, is that once you do that, you can then build another self-driving business. It's sometimes, like the way I see a self-driving business, sometimes it's self-driving department of my business. You know what I mean? And then, actually, when I do that and I can leverage my existing team, I can build another business, right? So because when you look at it, you're just leveraging the same things, right? Or you can leverage the same people, and sometimes even the same systems.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's again, remember, it's you lead people run systems drive your business. You need to be very clear on what your business is, how it's going to generate money, what the brand is going to be. And then you're going to have also flawless self-leadership. So read the Done by Noon book, implement it, and have great self-leadership. And from there, you can start actually looking into the self-driving business component, which is the people and the systems. The people that are going to run the systems are going to drive the business. And when you have this built or implemented, your sole responsibility is going to be to lead. All right, that's it. That's the third, that's really the master skill that you're going to need to have in your business with a self-driving business, is your leadership skills. And I see a lot of people, they can't do that. I think a lot of people who don't have self-driving businesses and said, yes, a lot of them, many of them are just don't want to take their hands off the wheel.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people they don't want to manage other people. They don't realize that it's going to take them to shift the skill set to building to actually leading.
Yeah, it's difficult at times. I know I've had
doing to leading, I would say.
For me, I mean, yeah, that was always the biggest thing for me, was taking my hands off the wheel and making sure that things weren't getting. I wanted things done a specific way, but then that's a reflection of my ability to communicate as a leader if things aren't being done a specific way. So that was one of the main things that I had to work on.
How did you come over that?
I had to just try to be very even more specific as I could, and be very encouraging, and really lead by example, and be very specific in my SOPs and in my training videos and everything that I needed to do to get my assistant and whichever freelancer was working for me up to speed. I found that it was a flaw in the way I was communicating, because I was going in with the expectation that people knew what I wanted.
Yes.
Right. So it was a matter of me really working on myself and the way I communicate. I mean, communication is everything in a marriage, in a business, in any relationship that you have. It's always clear and effective communication. And so it's a skill. And if you don't have that, then as a leader, I think that's one of the most important things that you need to develop. Because you can have all the ideas in the world and be the visionary and everything, but if you're unable to, you can't do everything yourself. So if you're unable to convey those ideas and communicate clearly those ideas and what it is that you want, then you're never going to see your idea into fruition. So you have to be able to communicate.
Dude, it's so true. Communication is everything. And I think if you suck at communicating your vision, that's one thing you're going to need to work on.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the deal breaker. If you want a self-driving business, is going to come, in the form of how you are able to lead your people. And the communication is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I agree. The analogy with with a relationship is that's exactly what it is. You have to set like that people understand what your expectations are. Like if you have a partner, your partner needs to understand what your expectations are, and also follow up properly with it, and do the actions that are necessary in order to enable that to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So, for example, if you want something done a certain way, well, this is when you start building SOPs. When I talk about systems, standard operating procedures is one of them. It's one of the things that you need to implement. Okay. The way you're going to manage your projects, the way you're going to handle, different things in your business, or the way you're going to, for example, communicate in your business needs to be standardized, needs to be channeled. And you need to be very clear with it. No, 100% that the communication is one of the aspects of leadership that needs to be, I would say, nailed. Mm-hmm. I was lucky though. That's something I naturally that I do well. That's why I leverage that all the time, as much as I can. But I know a lot of people who struggle deeply with that. Brilliant business guys build amazing, big, sizable businesses too, but were burning themselves out because they just couldn't delegate. We have many of our friends in that situation, because they just don't know how to do it properly. And it's a struggle for them. It's tough, so it's actually learning. You need to learn a complete new skills. When you thought you're a business badass, you realize that, oh, shoot, I need to learn something else that is completely different than what I've done before, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's the self-driving business model in a nutshell. That's my go-to approach when it comes to building businesses. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure I'm always going to be 100% building self-driving businesses forever. But that's, I think, always going to be my favorite model for a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, say Bioptimizers was really an example of the business that I love to build, but for example, Matt and Wade really wanted it to bring it to another level. And the fact, for example, Matt and Wade didn't have kids. So for me, it was just, no, but it was a deal breaker for me, because we had, when it was coming to the vision of the company, when we were hitting a certain level, after the build and the growth, we had to make a decision. Okay, what's next? My instinct is always self-driving mode. And for them, they're like, no, we're going to scale. Right. And I think that was the difference. It's hey, I don't think I want to, I don't think I'm willing to go and scale it, because I know the implication that it's going to have on my family.
Yeah.
I'd rather stick to a self-driving bit, and that's fine. And that was one of the main reasons why I sold it. Is hey, it's not because we're not agreeing on the vision. I agree with their vision 110%. It's just not what I wanted really. And especially not at that stage of my life, being a new dad. And I would have felt like I would have went against what I saw for myself, in my big picture. So
that's amazing to have that kind of foresight. A lot of people, when you're doing well with business and it's time to scale, people, I find, have a tendency to get greedy, and they want more and more and more, and they lose the thought or the vision of what it is that they had for their life, or what a good life actually means to them. So I think that's a testament to your ability to really understand what your vision is, both from a personal standpoint and from a business standpoint, and understand that just wasn't in line with it. So that's great, man. I mean, having kids changes everything.
Yeah, changes your perspective 110%. Yeah. I mean, it's that's the thing. It's just, but until you actually try it, scaling a business is people that talk about scaling like, oh, it's the next logical step. No, it's not. Like, you don't need to scale the business. Self-driving is another option that is, in my opinion, very appealing. For me, it is. But the skills that you need to, like, what give you success in building and growing your business is not the skills that are going to be bringing you success in the scale when you scale. So bottom line, there's new skills evolve with going to the next phase, whether it's putting it on self-driving mode or scaling that business. It's going to take you new skills to do that. Just understanding what skills you can apply. And when you look into scaling, your financial knowledge is going to need to get a lot higher. You're going to need to start embracing more complex structures. Leadership obviously is going to be, that's the one thing. Like leadership, you can't escape leadership. Like upgrading your leadership skills, whether you're putting on self-driving mode or you're scaling. Like you need to be a great leader no matter what. So that doesn't change anything. But otherwise, you need to think about it. I can tell you, like the people who listen to the Done by Noon podcast, I would say 9 out of 10 want a self-driving business. Mm-hmm. And I would say 9 out of 10 deny it because the culture says that, you need to scale or you need to do more or you need to, you would miss so much. You can do so much better. You know what I mean? I think people just follow that tendency all the time, or that culture. And do whatever you want. It's your business. I'm just sharing my vision or the way I dealt with it, like personally. But it's a personal decision. But don't fool yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, my man, I think we circled around. If you have any questions, guys, about building a self-driving business, we can cover that in more episodes. So being more specific on systems, things like that. But yeah, don't hesitate to send us your comments, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. My man, Chris, have a great week. Have a great week. It's going to be the end of the quarantine for you soon. So hang on, man. Hang on.
Freedom? No, I'm just kidding. It's actually been it's been a really good quarantine. It's allowed us to really, in the past when we've come home, we hit the ground running and we have this to do and that to do. So the 2 weeks have been really great because it's allowed us to slow things down and gain perspective, catch up on things, get enough rest and all of that. So it's been good.
I love it. Well, next time I talk to you, you're going to be out of the cage.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, my man. Have a good week. One final week, and we'll talk next week.
Okay, brother.
You have just listened to the Done by Noon podcast. If you are interested in hearing more, do not hesitate to subscribe to our channel. Click on the 5 stars or check out our free tools and trainings at donebynoonpodcast.com. Thanks again for listening and stay awesome. We'll see you next time.